जो मांगे ठाकुर अपने ते सोई सोई देवै। जो मांगे ठाकुर अपने ते सोई सोई देवै। नानक दास मुख ते जो बोले इहाँ उहाँ सच होवे। नानक दास मुख ते जो बोले इहाँ उहाँ सच होवे। जो मांगे ठाकुर अपने ते सोई सोई देवै।
Why do we need to be vegan for higher spiritual practice to find the absolute or ultimate truth?
Okay, well, the basis of our existence here on Earth is the law of cause and effect. And that means that our day-to-day life is determined by the activities we have done in the past, which has written our destiny today. And this is called the law of karma. Under the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect, or what goes around comes around, depending on the culture that you follow. And some say, as you sow, so shall you reap, and an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. These are all different cultural and religious expressions of the divine law of cause and effect. Now, if we understand that this law exists, and this law is based upon the fact that if you harm anything in creation, if you cause any harm or any disturbance, then you have to account for that personally. If we understand that this is the case, and this is the reason why we suffer in creation, and likewise, when we do something good, we get some reward, some benefit. If we understand this point, then we need to look closely about our daily activities. Among other things, such as moral living and honest living and other things, being vegan is very helpful or even essential for higher spiritual practice, because when you eat animal products of any sort, the first thing is there's suffering involved in the production of that food for you, whether the animal is killed or whether they're abused in some way to provide you milk and yogurt or butter on your table. There is some form of suffering involved. And anything you take to yourself, which is the product of suffering, that suffering will be translated into you and will cause you some form of disturbance or suffering. So if on the spiritual path, the objective is to still the mind, calm the mind, or purify the mind, as many religions say, or purify the body so that the mind becomes pure, in order for us to ascend to higher realms of purer consciousness, then it's only logical that we should avoid things that cause impurity of the mind and body. Such a things are the consumption of animal products, because there is suffering involved. Now, even plants suffer, but they suffer to such a small extent that the Lord says that although there is some suffering involved in the plants, taking of plants even for food, the suffering is so small that it's easily paid off by doing simple good deeds in society and meditation. So, because only life can exist on life here on earth, we can't live on rocks. We can't eat plastics and wood and materials. We have to exist on life. Therefore, the masters say that we should eat the lowest form of life. And even then, we should be respectful, like giving thanks for that life sacrificing itself in order to feed us, and thank the Lord for providing that. And also not to be gluttonous, not to overeat, not to eat more than our need because of greed of the eyes and the tongue. So even vegetables should be respected. And so being vegan is very essential and very helpful in spiritual progress. because it allows the mind to become still and undisturbed, because you're not consuming something born of suffering. And we know what it's like to suffer. When we suffer, we feel disturbed, we feel upset. We can't then meditate or concentrate or focus upon anything. We can't even sometimes do our own work. We have to get off work because of stress or something like that. We all understand suffering. So if we're involved in the suffering chain and we take suffering into our body and consume that, then it's going to affect us, because what we put into our bodies affects our bodies and our mind. That's a biological fact. So masters have said historically that we should avoid suffering in spiritual progress. And all holy masters were at least vegetarian, if not vegan. And they all emphasize compassionate living, or ahimsa, non-violence. So by not eating foods born of suffering, we are not creating that suffering within ourselves. We're not creating a disturbance within ourselves that affects our spiritual practice. So yes, we should be vegan for very logical reasons, not for emotional reasons even. Although animal cruelty and cruelty even to any kind of living being should be our main priority, as well as a compassionate human being. That aside, from the practical point of view, we should introduce only positive vibrational energies into our body that allow us to elevate. Suffering or contamination or poisons lower our vibrational energy, and therefore they don't allow us to raise our consciousness up. So from a very practical point of view, as well as the obvious non-cruelty point of view, we should be at least vegetarian, but better still be vegan.